We now return to one of the most protective and legally strategic sections of the residential listing contract. This section is about safeguarding compensation, defining post-expiration rights, managing escrow disbursement, and clearly identifying what stays with the property. This section is where risk management and contract clarity intersect. Misunderstanding these provisions can lead to commission disputes, escrow litigation, and ad re complaints under ARS. Paragraph 32, 2153. Proper explanation to the owner is essential. Purchase by tenant, preventing commission avoidance. This clause addresses a common scenario in Arizona rental markets. If a tenant rents the property during the listing term and later purchases it, even during a renewal or holdover period, the sale compensation is earned. This protection often extends for a specified number of days after rental termination. Why this matters in Phoenix Metro practice. In areas like Mesa or Glendale, investors frequently rent first and sell later. Without this clause, an owner could rent to a tenant, wait for listing expiration, then sell to that tenant and avoid paying commission. This clause protects the broker's efforts in procuring and placing the tenant. Example: a Chandler homeowner lists their property for rent. A tenant signs a 12-month lease. 6 months later, the tenant expresses interest in buying. Even if the listing agreement expires before closing, this clause ensures sale compensation is earned if within the protection period. Discussion. Question: why should the protection period extend beyond the rental termination date? Answer: because negotiations may occur shortly after termination, and without a protection window, the broker's efforts could be circumvented. Broker dispute, owner neutrality requirement. If a dispute arises between brokers regarding compensation, the owner agrees not to revoke or amend previously offered compensation. This is critical. Commission disputes between brokers are common in co-brokered transactions. The owner should not be placed in the middle. The clause directs disputes to be resolved after closing through the realtor's dispute resolution system or other agreed methods. This protects closing stability. Escrow should not collapse due to broker conflict. Valley example: 2 brokers dispute procuring cause in a Scottsdale sale. The transaction closes, and the dispute is resolved post-closing through arbitration. The owner remains unaffected. Discussion. Question: why is it important that compensation disputes be resolved after closing rather than before? Answer: to avoid jeopardizing the transaction and harming the buyer or seller due to broker conflict. Withdrawn or canceled listings. Protection against strategic withdrawal. This clause states that if the owner withdraws the property without broker consent or transfers it through another broker during the term, compensation remains due. This prevents an owner from avoiding commission by canceling the listing and immediately selling privately. Example: a Gilbert homeowner signs an exclusive right to sell. After heavy marketing, a neighbor expresses interest. The owner cancels the listing and sells directly. Without this clause, the broker could lose compensation despite producing interest. Discussion. Question: why is exclusive right to sell stronger than exclusive agency in this context? Answer: because exclusive right to sell protects the broker's compensation, even if the owner personally finds the buyer. Payment from escrow. Securing the broker's compensation. The owner instructs escrow to pay broker compensation directly at closing and irrevocably assigns funds payable to owner for that purpose. This is a powerful financial protection mechanism. It ensures the broker does not have to chase payment after closing. In Arizona, escrow companies follow written instructions carefully. Clear instruction language prevents post-closing disputes. Additionally, for rentals, the broker may deduct compensation from rents received on owner's behalf. Discussion. Question: why is escrow instruction language critical in commission protection? Answer: because escrow disbursement is governed strictly by written instructions. Without clear assignment, payment delays or disputes may arise. After expiration protection period, the safety net clause. This is often referred to as the protection period. After listing expiration, compensation is still payable if a sale occurs to someone shown the property during the listing term. Negotiations began during the listing term. A purchase contract was executed during the term. The sale closes during the pendency of escrow opened during the term. This protects brokers from owners waiting until expiration to finalize negotiations. Example: during a listing in Peoria, a buyer tours the property but does not immediately make an offer. The listing expires. 30 days later, that same buyer purchases directly from the owner. If within the protection period, commission is earned. Discussion question: why does the protection period typically exclude situations where the owner relists exclusively with another broker? Answer: because the new exclusive broker has the right to market and protect their own compensation. Failure to complete. Owner default and earnest money. If a sale fails due to owner default, the entire compensation is payable. This reinforces that brokers are compensated for performance, not just closing. If earnest money is forfeited for other reasons, the broker receives the lesser of half the earnest deposit or full commission. This is a balanced clause. It protects brokers while acknowledging that a full commission may not always be appropriate if no closing occurs. Valley example: a Mesa property goes under contract. The seller refuses to complete required disclosures and causes buyer cancellation. Under this clause, commission may still be owed. Discussion. Question: why is it fair that broker compensation may be earned even if a transaction fails due to owner default? Answer: because the broker fulfilled their obligation by procuring a ready, willing, and able buyer. Construction clause. Compliance with law. This clause ensures the agreement complies with applicable law. If any provision conflicts with Arizona law, it will be modified only to the minimum extent necessary to ensure compliance. This protects enforceability and reduces risk of the entire agreement being invalidated. Fixtures and personal property. Avoiding one of the most common disputes in real estate. Now we shift from compensation to physical property rights. Fixtures are items attached or affixed to the property. Personal property is movable. The distinction matters. Arizona courts analyze fixtures based on method of attachment, adaptation to property use, intent of annexation. Common disputes arise over items like wall-mounted TVs, smart home devices, solar systems, water softeners, garage refrigerators. The listing agreement clarifies that affixed fixtures and specific personal property convey. Example: in a Queen Creek transaction, a seller removes wall-mounted TV brackets after contract acceptance. The buyer claims they were fixtures. The listing agreement language clarifying fixtures strengthens the buyer's claim. Smart home devices, modern relevance. The form specifically addresses smart home devices and transfer of access. In today's Phoenix metro market, properties frequently include video doorbells, automated thermostats, smart irrigation systems. Failure to clarify transfer procedures can create security risks. Solar systems, critical in Arizona. Affixed alternate power systems, such as solar panels, are included if owned by the owner. However, leased solar systems must be carefully disclosed and addressed in the purchase contract. Discussion. Question: why is it important to clarify whether solar is owned or leased at the listing stage? Answer: because leased solar may require buyer qualification, assumption agreements, and lender approval. Failure to disclose may derail the transaction. Bringing it all together. This section protects the broker's right to compensation, the integrity of escrow disbursement, the clarity of post-expiration rights, the definition of what conveys with the property. These clauses prevent strategic avoidance, post-listing circumvention, and property disputes. In the fast-moving metropolitan Phoenix market, where investors, tenants, and buyers frequently shift roles, these protections are not theoretical. They are essential.